The last thing which I've kind of left to the end is really, well, how about Playeconomics? Okay, so Playeconomics is basically a game, okay, and as hopefully you guys have heard from your in-session friends, that this is probably one of the funnest games for economics that you'll ever see. Okay, so in the game itself, think of The Sims. And basically, you're basically trying to play The Sims in this simulated economy, and you'll basically try and develop this economy. There are basically components in the game which you need to complete. And if you complete all of these components, so there's basically going to be 4 components, so be aware of that, you'll receive the full 20 points. So I guess the question then becomes, well, why Playeconomics? Why have Alberto, myself, Isabella, and Scott invested so much into Playeconomics? Why did we create a video game in the first place? It seems kind of odd, right? It seems a bit of a paradox. So let me give you a bit of a background about why we really wanted to create Playeconomics and what really drives us to really create the best course possible for you guys. So let me give you some numbers. In higher education, the number of students worldwide is expected to double. Last semester, we had around 1,200 students. The semester before, we had 2,500 students. The question then becomes, well, given that we have this trend of increasing students, an increasing number of students, how do we actually make the learning experience better? Is it actually possible? Right? Because, I mean, obviously using traditional methods, if I were to dump you all into a giant stadium, you're going to find that, well, that's actually not particularly useful now, isn't it? So then this sort of then gave us the idea of, well, how do we actually go about sort of addressing this issue? And this is where Playeconomics then kind of then came in. And what we found through research is that actually learning by doing is probably one of the best ways to actually learn a content. And more importantly, what we also wanted to do was to make sure you could actually learn this stuff, also engage with the stuff so that it's fully online. We also want it to be social. And of course, more importantly for us is that it is actually adaptive and predictive. So what does that mean? We want to make sure that we create the best possible experience for you by making sure that the game is able to actually give you a personalized experience. So in other words, the experience that you get from the game itself is actually going to be very individual and is being tailored to your needs to basically help you deepen your understanding on the individual issues for which you actually have problems. So it's almost like, yes, we're able to now come up with a solution to give you guys something that you will hopefully love. But more importantly, we also address this issue of increasing student numbers. And at the end of the day, we believe it's a bit of a win-win because hopefully our sort of feedback has been very positive on Playeconomics. And of course, you guys get to learn something that we hope will be very, very useful. So just to give you some numbers, so we did a bit of an experiment, and what we found was, well, 10% of gamification actually led to a 9.1% increase in final exam scores. That's pretty significant, okay? So in addition to this, we actually found that there was no gender bias, and it was large and robust for all score quantiles. Okay, and this was also in a paper by Debrescu, Motto, Wong in Fun in Education, entitled Fun in Education. So what we believe is that this is actually a wonderful tool, not only for you to have a bit of fun and to engage with the material, but it's also a great way for you to actually learn something. It's far more, we found this to be one of the best tools to enhance your learning. And from my own personal experience, I also taught this course last summer, and in fact, Playeconomics had one of the strongest correlations in terms of to final student outcomes. So that was one of the most positive things that we actually found. So moving on, let's talk a little bit more about the actual process of Playeconomics and how it came to fruition. So basically, this is not something which is started, about a year ago, and we kind of came to, hey, why don't we create a game and all this type of thing? No. This is actually something which started quite a few years ago, where we basically sort of had a bit of a pilot, and we kind of then trialed it on students. And what we found was basically the result that you guys have basically seen. That is, 10% of gamification led to a 9.1 increase in exam scores. So that was, I think, back in 2012 or 13. Then we kind of then refined the game further, and in 2014 we did a little bit more trials, and we found that again these results seem to be fairly robust. So we were then very excited about this whole thing, and in 2015 we basically launched the game itself. And from that, I guess, as they say, the rest is history, as they say. So hopefully, we hope that with all of our effort in understanding how people learn, that this game will be an extremely valuable tool for you. And we really hope that you really enjoy this game. I had a number of questions in the past about, well, what really kind of drives you to do this? Why do you actually want to have why are you so passionate about all of this? So the end game for me is really, we know that on this planet that there are a lot of problems, right? We don't live in heaven, okay, that's the truth, and there are problems. But what we believe is that economics can provide you guys with a way as to how to think about these problems, right? Whether you're passionate about development economics and social inequality, economics has something to say about that. Whether it is about the fact that you didn't like Donald Trump, for example, getting into the presidency, economics can also provide insights into that. And of course, the next question, which is probably close to my heart, is with regards to higher education in itself, right? And again, economics can actually provide some ideas and some perspective as to why things function as the way they do, and that's in labor economics. But I guess the issue which we're kind of then talking about is, well, okay, so what drives me? What drives me is I know that there are problems in the world. All the economists in the world can't solve all of these problems. We need a lot of people. So then what is our purpose? Our purpose is to give you guys what we think are appropriate tools and appropriate perspective and appropriate lens to actually look into through these problems. And hence, with your human capital and brains, we hope that you can work together with all of us to basically solve these problems. So that is what drives us. It's simply not just about economics. It's about us providing you guys with tools so that you guys can be the next great innovators, or the next great Nobel Prize winners in peace, or maybe the next great Mahatma Gandhi. At the end of the day, that is what drives us, to provide you guys with the best possible experience, because we believe that we can actually contribute to your well-being, and of course, as you guys then will then proceed to then enhance other people's well-being. So hopefully that gives you guys a bit of an introduction into Micro1, and we really, really hope, and unfortunately Belle and Mitchell aren't here with me, that you'll enjoy this course and love the course. And of course, at the end of the day, when you get famous, remember that we've always been around and we've helped to enhance your lives. Okay, and other than that, you'll see me online weekly, and of course on the online discussions. Okay, so take care, enjoy the summer, enjoy the course, and all the very best.